Now, we had that Nintendo Direct today, and usually when we have a Direct, say, in the US, they show us the Direct that a lot of the world sees, except generally Japan. See, Japan usually gets a bit more, or at least somewhat different announcements here and there. Usually they get like extra announcements. Like they had that Phantasy Star Cloud announced. They had the Resident Evil Cloud edition that we saw that got announced for them, just out of nowhere. But generally they'll get different things in their Direct, and it wasn't really anything crazy here, except for one announcement. Something popped up that, well, I'll just tell you about it. It's another Cloud Edition game. Remember how we had that Resident Evil 7 Cloud Edition? We actually tried to sign into it here, and it barely worked, but I did find out it was at least in English and everything, so they had it completely translated. They just kept it in Japan, and they continue to. It hasn't gone anywhere else or left. It's still just in Japan. And this time, it seems that Ubisoft has, well, they decided to take a shot at it as well, as they're actually going to be releasing a game seemingly day and date with other versions, except the Switch version will be cloud-based. That's actually Assassin's Creed Odyssey. They showed this off during their Direct. There's actually a trailer online you can watch, and they do showcase it to where, hey, look, this is connected to the cloud, but there are a few issues here. One, the price is 8,400 yen. That is apparently the same as the PS4 version and everything, so not too much of a difference there, but that will actually allow access for 730 days, or 2 years. So you're essentially renting this game for 2 years for full price. Now, when you buy a game like, let's say you buy Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it does drop in price very quickly, but it's a tangible thing that you do own. If you buy it digitally, you have it until, I guess, PlayStation or Xbox has to be pulled off their store, like we've seen with something like Scott Pilgrim, but you can then at least still download it. This is something where you are actually renting it for a set amount of time, 2 years. It's a while, you're probably going to beat it, but what if you want to go back to it, 3 years from now, towards the end of the Switch's lifespan, you're like, oh, you know what, I kind of want to go play Odyssey again, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I should say. I want to go play that again, but I can't. Now, of course, by then, maybe you have a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One because they've become so cheap, and then I'm sure Odyssey is like $10 then, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. But still, it's something to think about here with these cloud services. It's almost like these companies do want to be on the Switch, but whether they can port it to it, or maybe the time, energy, or just money in general to get it there in time, especially for a day-and-date release like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it's just not in the cards, it's not worth it, and they say, oh, we'll just stream it off our service for them. I have a feeling in Japan it's not as big of a deal as some people were showing Resident Evil 7, which is a slower game anyway, so it's probably better there. It actually worked, and people seemed okay with it, but again, some of the issues I have is the pricing, which the full price, 8,400 yen, I think that equates to it's like $75 here in the US. You're paying for this game that's a rental for 2 years. You don't tangibly own it. Even a digital game you don't technically own if you read the fine print, but you do have it for essentially as long as it's around or it's on the store or whatnot. You don't have a time limit essentially. So this is weird. I was hoping Resident Evil 7 would have been just a test by Capcom. Now, they really haven't done much else outside of that, and this might be a test by Ubisoft to see how a day-and-date release sells, which we won't know sales numbers, as generally even Famitsu wouldn't be able to report this kind of stuff. We'd have to see what Ubisoft says about it, and they could just never say anything about how they do. And the real issue is, if it does well, why wouldn't they just do cloud stuff all the time? In Japan, it's not going to work here in the US right now or most other places, at least not this generation, but what's stopping them from doing it going forward as things, I guess, get better in terms of the internet or infrastructure? Haha, right, I know. We're relying on Comcast for that one, we'll say, or Verizon or Times Warner or whoever's in your area, right? That's the problem, whoever's in your area. But this is an interesting situation, as we've heard Ubisoft talk about how they want to do streaming, but this is I don't like this. I don't know. It's just them getting on the system in Japan specifically, streaming it, and then not actually having to technically spend the money to port the game, right? They're mostly setting up what I assume is going to be like a 40 megabyte app that you download. It then calls those servers, and the servers take care of everything, and they stream it to you. And it wouldn't work in a fighting game. It probably wouldn't even work very well in a Twitch shooter. But I guess Assassin's Creed is just slow enough in terms of button response and everything, I guess, for it to work. I don't know. We're going to see. We're going to see how it sells, kind of, if they tell us. And, of course, we'll see how it performs when people start taking video of it, how it looks and everything. And if this is the way they want to move bigger games over to the Switch, you might as well, I guess, not even do it. I mean, I guess they're like, here's an option for people in Japan, but the game streaming thing is it defeats the purpose of the Switch. It's a portable system that maybe you want to take outside your house. We had this whole conversation with Resident Evil 7, and now it seems to have spread to a big budget game like an Assassin's Creed Odyssey, coming out day and date for the same price as the PS4 game where you actually get the full thing. Let me know what you guys think about this down below. I'm very curious. Make sure you guys like the video if you liked it, disliked it if not, and I'll see you guys in the next video.